Laura and Theresa with another episode of Ask Me Anything. This week's topic is route planning. Theresa, I have heard the difference between morning huddle and route planning. How do those two relate?
Well, it's really important that each practice have a morning huddle. We have to know what we're doing that day. But that being said, there is such a wide variety of someone's interpretation on what a morning huddle is. I have observed many morning huddles in different practices over the years, including my own, and there is just a craziness of diversity. So one thing that is really important to understand is what the huddle is not.
What?
More so than what it is.
Tell me that it's not a gossip session, are you?
It is not a gossip session. It is not spending 10 minutes talking about what we did last night or complaining about the patient yesterday while we're waiting for doctor to arrive, right, or we're waiting for the head assistant to arrive, or somebody that's always late. This is on the clock time. And I understand that doctors are really, especially now, uber sensitive of their overhead because they're just trying to, continue to be in recovery mode. And that's really important. But you should not pay somebody to stand there and talk about yesterday's patients or complain about this, that, or the other thing, or wait on somebody that's consistently late. That's a whole other segment. What we need to talk about in the huddle is planning our day. And the huddle is not having someone sit around and read the schedule. I have had so many practices where they just basically are reading the schedule. Somebody might interject something here and there. Oh, well, don't forget, Mrs. Smith is in a wheelchair. We've got to make sure she goes in operatory number 4. But in general, it's just reading the schedule. And we don't need to pay extra money for that, if that's what you're going to do. The thing is, it's the cost, but it's the loss of production, and it's the loss of planning. And there's a big difference between route prep and huddles.
We will get into huddles another day. Let's really dive into route planning, because my daughter was at the dentist. She told me that the front office asked her, so what are we seeing you for today?
Yeah, that's I would have kind of went, well, okay. That's a great question. Hopefully she got a good answer.
If they don't know, who does know?
If they don't know, yeah. So I've always said, if you don't run the day is going to run you. Dentistry, just by definition, can be crazy stressful. And you can have a day where even the best laid plans fall apart, and you're standing around at the end of the day and everybody is like, what just happened? And that happens, but that should not be happening on a daily basis. And we should not be stressed like that on a daily basis. And if we plan the patients out and plan the day better, you're not going to be. So route planning is many components, many components. I have a route prep sheet that has probably about 25 points that we need to look at for each patient. Now, just that being said, I can already hear a doctor in my head going, that's taking too long. That takes up too much time. We don't have time to do that. So my question to the doctor is, how much money can you afford to lose by not doing that? What's an acceptable amount of production to lose each day? Or what's an acceptable amount of patients to be upset and angry because you've made a mistake?
And it's not too long. The ones who are saying that have already wasted time with people being late, like you mentioned earlier, people being late, gossiping about yesterday's patients, or even talking about what they did last night. There's so much wasted time at these meetings. We're much more purposeful. There's plenty of time to talk about the things that matter.
Right. And so when I conducted the meetings as manager, I often did. But I would have my routes done. My goal was at least 3 to 5 days prior to the patient arriving. Because the things that we look at are, yes, first of all, if, we are insurance driven, unfortunately, but are they still active with their plan? We don't want to assume that. Do they have a new plan? So we look into that, financials. Is there a balance? Why hasn't that been taken care of? We need to clear that up before they walk in and charge something new. Are there other family members? If mom's bringing one child and 3 other children have not been seen in a year, why are they not on the schedule? Why is mom not on the schedule? They're sitting in the reception room. Why are we not seeing them?
That's so great.
So all things like that. I have patients that have walked in for a 3-unit bridge, which is good production. Every doctor dreams of that, or implant cases or things like that. Oh, did you take your pre-med? Oh, no. I didn't, I forgot. So we're not prepared for that. We didn't call it in ahead of time. We didn't make sure they had it. And you don't do that when they walk in, because if you don't stock any of that and can't dispense that, they walk out and you haven't done your procedure. Is there something we need to follow up? Did we follow up with the physician and they never got back to us? So maybe we shouldn't be seeing this patient on Tuesday because we still don't have this clearance. There's so many things. I have seen patients get so upset and leave practices, not because of clinical errors, but because of financial ones. They will bail on you and leave you the worst results because you've overcharged them $35 versus you've, prepped the wrong tooth. They don't care about that. It's crazy, but it's true. And why are we overcharged? Maybe we're not looking to see, a lot of times patients will max out of their benefits because nobody's looking at how much did they spend at the endodontist we referred them to in January. It's September. Here we've only seen them once, so nobody's really looking at that, which doesn't really speak to just looking at those items. It speaks to training and understanding to know what you're looking at. And it does take time to do those things, but it only takes time once to do those things. And if you really are doing those complete reviews of that patient and you're putting notes in a place, every software has a special note place, you don't have to go back and reread their chart every time they come in or do these things. There's a place for that. But I'm telling you that spending 10, 15 minutes per person to prep those things will make your practice much more profitable.
Absolutely.
And mitigate your risk.
So I have 2 questions for you. The first is, who should be doing the work on really creating a great route prep? And 2, when is the best time to do that? Should they be doing that the night before they leave the office, first thing in the morning? What are best practices as far as you're concerned?
Well, the day before or the morning of is way too soon, because if we need to follow up, we don't have time. Like I mentioned, I always like to do it 3 to 5 days prior to their appointment. So as office manager, I did not necessarily, it depends too on the size of the practice. If you're outsourcing billing or how much time is there? And if you don't have time to do those, then we need to look at what else is going on and why don't you have time? Yeah. Because there's a lot of other things that factor into why I don't have time, perhaps.
Is that something that you help your clients with during your snapshot? Is that something that you can see as an issue?
Yeah, I definitely see that as an issue, because what I'm looking at during a snapshot is the services that were performed, and those are questions I ask is, why are we seeing this patient for 3 times with no evaluation with doctor? Why are they just seeing the hygienist for the last 3 years? That's supervised neglect. And depending on what's going on with the patient, could be negligence. There's a lot of risk involved in lack of preparation. I'll tell the doctors, when I'm doing a snapshot and I'm seeing these things, I said, you have to think about it as just preparing for your patient. If you were going in and you sat down, injected, and you were getting ready to pick up the handpiece to do a crown prep on tooth number 3, and there was one burr on that burr block and it wasn't the one you needed, you can't work. If there is no cord packer and you were packing cord, how are you going to perform that procedure? Then you're scrambling. Then somebody has to get up and go look, or get up and go get it. And if that happens 2 or 3 or 4 times for every patient, there's your 10 to 15 minutes of wasted time that you consider to be wasted on route prep.
Great. Absolutely. So this is a really special one, in my opinion, because I'm all about organization. I think that it drives productivity, it drives production, it drives the revenue. So we're going to do a special training just for route planning. Theresa, is that something that you would, for our audience, be willing to share in your training, your 25 tips of route planning?
I would love to do that, because I can't tell you how critical this is to the success and just the way that the practice is going to be. It's going to be smoother. You're going to be less stressed. You're going to be more profitable. Patients are going to be better served. I always tell doctors, if you let me do this for 2 or 3 days and tell me that you don't see a difference, tangible difference in production and everything, just in general, it's so much smoother. We have extractions going on with no consent forms. Oh, I thought you got the consent form. Oh, I thought you did it last time. Oh, well, why didn't we do it last time? We're prepping teeth. We don't have a pre-op PA. The last PA we have might be 5 years old. Well, good luck getting that paid. So then you're going to have a patient that's going to be real upset, because even though we're not responsible for benefits, we know what we need to have to bill, and we didn't have it.
Yep.
And there's a lot of chaos going on in practices right now, because they're scrambling to get good team members. Team members are leaving, team members are coming in. There's no written policies and procedures and protocol. We have to stop making ourselves crazy in the dental practice and treat it like a business, and not like an optional, just we're going to throw in and wing it, because that is not good for anybody, including your patients.
Absolutely. We are going to continue to bring you value to make your practices the best that they can be. Email or DM us to get answers to your big questions for your dental practice.